has always been the best ally of humankind, providing solutions to everyday issues such as food, the cure for ailments, shelter, and tools. The relationship with edible plants is probably the strongest and most significant testimony of humankind as they explore the environment and learn to recognize and explore its resources. We are not talking about food plants, which are grown for nutrition purposes, such as cereals, corn, and a few others. These plants testify to the history of agriculture and the development of the modern civilization, but they also represent a loss of diversification. They all provide the same metabolites, which are the main source of energy for all peoples. Popular traditions develop according to the specificities of the territory, and so does the knowledge of plants. Traditional recipes based on spontaneous plants vary from one region to the other in that they reflect the biodiversity of the place. Traditional recipes represent an intangible heritage to be preserved and possibly enhanced. Our focus today is on the use of plants in traditional recipes. As part of the cultural heritage of a territory, this use of plants testifies to the ways in which rural civilizations respond to plant biodiversity. Imagine taking a flight from the Balkan Peninsula to central Italy. The view during the journey is characterized by different scenarios. Within less than 40 kilometers, you will move from the sea up to almost 3,000 meters above the highest peaks of the Apennines. This multifarious view, together with the climate and pedology of the country, explain the rich variety of flowers that can be found in some regions in Italy. Not by chance are these regions known as biodiversity hotspots, as they are representative of the flora of the country, from the beaches to the Alps. It's now easy to imagine that the same diversity characterizes traditional cuisines. With their selection of local ingredients, traditional recipes are clearly an expression of local biodiversity. Nowadays, there is a growing and renewed interest in the ancient practice of picking spontaneous plants. At times, this practice is almost considered as a scientific discipline, and it's sometimes improperly known as Fitoalimurgia or foraging. In the past, the collection of plants was simply a way of providing food. Today, it should be an educational experience, as well as a way to get to know the territory. Interestingly, the collection of wild plants has always been the responsibility of women, and especially of the elderly, who played a crucial role in subsistence economies. A problem we have nowadays is overfeeding, so the value of plants is also cultural. Picking plants in a natural environment means learning to look around, to know the territory, to understand its health conditions, and to discover the rhythm of nature. What does collecting plants mean for us today? One should simply think about the news and recent events such as the Convention on Biological Diversity or the COP26 UN Climate Change Conference held in UK in 2021 to understand the cultural and symbolic relevance of this practice. The Convention on Biological Diversity sets the 2050 vision for biodiversity as a goal. Its claim is living in harmony with nature. The COP26 UN Climate Change Conference held in UK in 2021 aims instead to adapt to protect communities and natural habitats. Obviously, harvesting wild plants is not an alternative to buying vegetables, nor should it merely be conceived as a reenactment of ancient practices. Imagine it instead as a training course aimed at recovering popular knowledge and at the same time as a journey into taste diversity, which is often excluded by the logics of large-scale distribution. Nowadays, this practice is all the more relevant and necessary. So, before starting this experience, let's take a look at a few basic rules. 1. Safety first. Only pick plants that you recognize, and only pick plants where you are allowed to do so. 2. Look around. Pick in clean and healthy environments. even better if they are beautiful. Avoid polluted places like cultivated fields and roads. 3. Never stop studying. Learn how to recognize and how to choose what to pick based on your taste. Not everything that is edible is also good. 4. Respect the times of the plants. The plant is a living organism, and as such, it adapts to the seasons. As a general rule, the leaves are more appetizing in spring, and the roots are harvested in autumn. 5. Train and optimize. With the right harvesting, washing, and preparation precautions, you will learn how to fully appreciate each plant. Raw, cooked, fresh, or preserved, there is no fixed rule. Everyone can enjoy a plant according to their taste. Moreover, with some experience, you will learn that eating plants produce very little waste, because almost nothing is thrown away. Are we ready to start? What else do we need to know? Oh well, yes, here are the tools needed to pick wild plants. A knife and a bag. Okay, with a wicker basket it would be much more romantic, but also a normal bag will do. Now, we are ready to start a nice and not tiring walk looking for wild edible plants. It may seem a hard task at first. Almost impossible if we think that plants with flowers are probably more than 250,000, or if we think about their nomenclature and the fact that botanists still speak Latin. To find the right balance between scientific accuracy and comfort, we have devised different excursions in different environments, which will give us the chance to talk about heavy plants. Let's start right from the sea. Right up on the sea dunes we can find the Cachyl maritima or sea rocket. While close to the cliffs, we can't find the sea fennel or rock samphire. Both plants have fleshy leaves. The tender leaves are eaten raw. They can be added to a salad to give it crunchiness and a characteristic tone of freshness and flavor, which is salty in the case of the sea rocket, and a lime aromatic note for the sea fennel. The stems of the sea fennel are also used as flavoring for oil preserves, and the leaves may be consumed as pickles. Both are suitable for use in the preparation of pesto, green sauces, or oily emulsions. It can also be used with other Mediterranean spices to season fatty meats and fish. Let's remain close to the water, but this time we're close to fresh, clean waters, unpolluted streams with a weak current. In these environments we can find the European Marshwort, which is renowned for its aromatic note similar to celery. This species is an excellent bioindicator, and its presence suggests the good quality of the water. It's used raw or mixed in salads. Watercress can also be found in the same environment. It's common near the water springs where animals usually drink. For this reason, you must be careful when picking it, and you must wash it accurately because the plant can be a vector of parasitic infections. The tender parts of this plant are consumed raw, in salads that have a slightly sharp aftertaste. This plant is also very rich in vitamin C, and in the past it was used as a remedy for scurvy. In Italy it has the same common name, but it's a different species from the edible and usually marketed variety of common cress. Similarly associated with the presence of water, in humid environments we can find a very common and famous plant, the hope. This plant looks like a liane with a herbaceous stem that grows leaning on trees or reeds. It's widely known for the female inflorescences that are used in the flavoring of beer due to the presence of glands rich in essential oil. Not everyone knows that it's possible to harvest only the stem tops when they are fresh and tender. Extremely versatile and adaptable, they can be used in 1,000 different ways, raw or cooked. But soft cooking is recommended because of their light consistency. It is recommended for the preparation of first courses, fillings, omelettes, green sauces, and it could be served with meat and, last but not least, it's possible to create an entire whole meal based on hop. A must-try is spaghetti with anchovies, chili and hops, or risotto with hops and almonds. Hops are among the plants known as false asparagus, usually employed as substitute for wild asparagus. Among these are also the stem tops of traveler's joy, a plant that grows in the same environment as the hop. They can be used in similar ways, but the traveler's joy is less enticing. The nettle belongs to the same environment, but it grows where nitrogen is present. It's a very common plant, and it's known for its stinging hairs, which contain chemicals that irritate the superficial layers of the skin. We should pick the apical leaves, which are the most tender ones. They can be added to salads. Curiously, they do not have an irritating effect when eaten. And after boiling, they can be pan-fried and used as fillings or as an ingredient for omelettes. They have a typically soft and spongy texture. The plant is also widely used in phytotherapy, where all parts of the plant are used, as well as in the production and dyeing of fabrics. Let's move away from the water. In the meadows, in the uncultivated fields, or near the cultivated fields, we find a great variety of species that, also because of their availability, have been and continue to be picked. The queen plant in this case is the dandelion, and it's satisfying to go picking it because its leaves are abundant and easy to find. The basal leaves of the rosettes, when they are tender, can be eaten raw in salads, while the larger leaves are first boiled in water or cooked in a pan. As Italian grandmothers say, they should be drowned, that is, cooked over low heat and for a long time. The latter technique is especially effective because it allows cooking without salt, which preserves the minerals naturally present in the plant. When cooked, the leaves lose part of their bitter taste, which is an integral part of the plant's health benefits. The dandelion has countless other uses in the kitchen. Its yellow flowers are used as a coloring agent for soups or for the preparation of syrups. The floral buds are processed and consumed like capers. Its roots may also be consumed after boiling as substitutes for coffee, or they can be used to make gluten-free flours. The plant is known with different local names that refer to its characteristics and properties. Soffione, due to the typical dispersion of the seeds; dente di leone or lion's tooth for the jagged edge of its leaves; and piscialetto or pisabed for its diuretic properties. These regional names are hard to explain, but at the same time they reveal the relationship between the plants and popular knowledge. Borage is a widely consumed plant, mostly because it's easy to harvest it. It's used to make fritters, either savory or sweet, which are prepared with its freshest and most tender leaves. Only the youngest leaves, which are still not covered with stiff hairs, can be used for salads, usually mixed with other vegetables with a stronger flavor. The plant is also well suited for soups or to fill pies and pastas, such as ravioli. The flowers, with their typical shape and color, can be used as an original garnish or to prepare a colored vinegar or for cocktails. A borage flower in a cube ice will surely have a stunning effect. Recommended recipes include ravioli stuffed with borage, borage fritters, or green dressings. It needs no introduction. The poppy is easily identifiable by its unusual red flower, which accompanies wheat and cereal crops in general. The plant is a bioindicator, and its absence, as is often seen in cereal fields, could be a signal of the use of herbicides. On the contrary, the poppy is abundant where it's free to grow. The most important part of the poppy is the rosette of the basal leaves, which are the most tender and the least bitter before flowering. However, you will need some experience to be able to recognize them. Harvested at this stage, they can be eaten raw in salads. Alternatively, they can be cooked for only for a short time due to their light consistency. The seeds are also widely used to make bread. They also give crunchiness, which is why they are added to ricotta cheese. Likewise, the rosette of the basal leaves of other species of the genus Sonchus are used when the plant is in its early stage of development. The most tender leaves can be consumed raw, as if they were a salad, while the larger and more consistent leaves should be boiled, or they can be fried alone or with other vegetables. Common regional names refer to the fracture of the stem, which releases a latex-like substance, which looks like cheese, or to the crinkled margin of the leaves. It's also widely used to stuff pasta, to make salty pies, as well as omelettes. It is usually mixed with beans in a traditional and well-known recipe. Chicory and lettuce are two other well-known species that have been adapted for cultivation, but some of its ancestors, such as the carrot, still grow spontaneously. Chicory can be easily recognized by its flower, with its unique blue color. The use of the poppy is limited to the leaves of the basil rosette, when the plant is in the early stages of development. In this case, the leaves should be boiled to soften its bitter taste. A common way to say that someone is picking plants is, they are going for the chicory. This expression does not refer to chicory only, it may also refer to other similar plants. Another group of renowned plants are thistles, and they are very easy to identify. Several species can be collected and used for cooking purposes, especially for its tender stem and the rachis in the middle of the leaf. Traditionally considered as food for the poor, they provide particular organoleptic sensations for those who engage in the difficult, and sometimes painful practice, of cleaning its thorny leaves. Derived species find little employment in cooking, even when they are cultivated. Its sparkle flowers are collected and used as vegetal rennet for cheese production. It's a very ancient practice traditionally associated with mountain sheep farming, which is popular today as it gives sheep particular aromatic and organoleptic characteristics. Other species, such as the lady's bedstraw, are used for similar purposes. Fig milk is commonly used as rennet in the area of the central Apennine. Several other species belonging to the Brassicaceae family represent an object of interest for the collectors, who often group them within a generic definition of wild rocket salad. A number of other species belonging to the Brassicaceae family should be mentioned for picking purposes. Those plants are commonly known as varieties of rocket salad or arugula, and they give salads a characteristic and slightly sharp taste. It's the basil rosettes that are usually collected. In the case of plants that reach large dimensions such as mustard, however, the florets are collected before they flower. They include common plants such as the white wall rocket, which is frequently present in vineyards, or other less common species such as the wall rocket. If you find it, you will enjoy a fresh meal, and we suggest it be served with cheese. Those who go picking plants will find it challenging to look for the bladder campion, a very popular and sought-after plant. Only the basil leaves can be consumed. This plant can be easily recognized because of its characteristic flower, even though it might be difficult to spot it among a multitude of other leaves. This plant can be used to prepare two typical and highly appreciated dishes, that is, omelette and risotto. Corn is one of the most widespread food plants in the world, and it plays a key role in the context of traditional cuisine. In poor and subsistence diets, corn flour was staple food, and it was frequently combined with wild corn to bring a variety of tastes to the table. In this context, the use of ancient corn varieties became part of the local tradition, and so did the cooking methods. Examples include most classic polenta, which is cooked in a cauldron, as well as pizza, which is cooked in earthenware pans. It's a traditional cooking technique which uses the top of the fireplace, where the dough is covered by a terracotta pot, which cooks covered with embers. Its traditional name is pizza and leaves. Wild or garden herbs are added to polenta. The name leaves eater, mangiafoglie, traditionally identified the poor, whose diet was mostly based on leaves. Garlic mustard is an example of a plant used as flavoring. Belonging to the Brassicaceae family, it's characterized by a faint aromatic note that is reminiscent of garlic, which explains its name. It's a plant that grows on the shade, in the woods, or in the meadows on the edge of woods. It's harvested before flowering and added to salads and soups to give a note of garlic, but its taste is less invasive and persistent, and it's certainly easier to digest. Great Burnet also has a characteristic flavor, which is reminiscent of freshly eaten walnuts. For this reason, its regional name means walnut herb. Its leaves can be added to salads or eaten raw, or they can be used to make green sauces. It's excellent when served with cheese. Lovers of garlic will also find interesting alternatives among the spontaneous species of garlic, which are characterized by weak aromatic notes and are usually easier to digest. Wild garlic can be found in the bushes, and its leaves can be added to salads or soups, but they are also good ingredients for omelettes or green sauces. The bulbs of other species of garlic can be consumed in similar ways, and the leaves of this garlic has an aromatic note of onion. For this reason, its name is chive or onion herb. At higher altitudes, on high mountain pastures, we find other plants that are used in farming practices and are therefore associated with a pastoral tradition. One of the most coveted and sought after plants is the good King Henry. It's commonly known as mountain spinach, and it's renowned for its tender parts. It's a nitrophilic species that grows on mountains near the folds, where the presence of animals enriches the soil with nitrogen. It can be cooked like spinach, but its flavor is more intense. People who are likely to develop stones should not overconsume it. This plant belongs to the genus Carlina, a sort of wild mountain artichoke that grows without a flower stem. The flower remains connected to the ground even when it blows. The flower can be picked, and it should be harvested when it's still a bud. As we do with artichokes, the thorny outer leaves are removed to eat its inner heart, which is the flesh receptacle. Once picked and clean, it can be consumed raw, sliced, or mixed with salads. It has a fresh and crunchy flavor that reminds of artichokes. In the recent past, the plant was considered an endangered species due to the extensive harvesting of spontaneous plants. Anthropization implies the presence of man and the development of cultivation practices. In this case, we talk of horticultural species whose ancestors were obviously natural. In the garden, we can find the carrot with its typical orange root, while those who go picking can find its ancestor, that is the real or wild carrot. This has a slender root and a white umbrella-like inflorescence, with a typical black aborted flower in the middle. Its inconspicuous but fragrant and sugary flower is collected to prepare a pleasant, fragrant, and beautiful pancakes. The cultivated varieties of fennel are also well known. They have been selected for the production of fennel bulbs, that is the swelling at the base of the rachis, which is eaten raw or cooked, but also to use its fruits as flavoring. No, not wrong, they are fruits, even if they are almost always wrongly called seeds. Popular tradition frequently uses its basal leaves. Thin and fragrant, they are collected in bunches and used for cooking meat and fish, as well as for legume soups during winter. It's good as an alternative to bay when cooking boiled chestnuts. This is an example of an unwelcome plant in a vegetable garden, highly invasive and therefore assimilated to weeds. Green purslane is known for its health benefits, which are related to the presence of unsaturated fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals in its seeds. In the kitchen, tender leaves are appreciated, with their characteristic fleshy consistency which, when added to salads, give a note of crunchiness and flavor. They're also excellent for omelettes or added to tomato salads or cold pasta. Trees are also an important source of ingredients. The black locust is certainly known for the showy, fragrant blooms, which are widely used for the production of commonly marketed honeys and appreciated as liquid honey. The same flowers can be breaded and are highly appreciated for the preparation of fritters with their fragrant and sweet note, or they may be added to salads or used as garnishes. Elderberry is a species known for its medicinal properties and is often appreciated thanks to its large inflorescences or fruits with their characteristic dark color. The flowers are sweet and fragrant and can be used to prepare homemade syrup, as well as refreshing drinks that are particularly appreciated in the summer. This is not something new. The product is commonly marketed, but at home it may be used in so many different ways that make it truly unique. Its fruit is harvested to make syrups, jams, and marmalades. Aside from traditional cuisine, Spontaneous and non-spontaneous plants may be used in modern, innovative ways. Plants, through what is called secondary metabolism, build, or synthesize, as the chemists say, colored and perfume metabolites through which they make themselves different and recognizable by animals and in particular by pollinators. This ability is visible in the variability of shapes, colors, aromas, and flavors of the flowers. A recent trend is the use of edible flowers to integrate or substitute the classical salad, or even as a decoration. From appetizers to desserts, we can use our imagination when preparing traditional dishes or to experiment. Spontaneous plants have a lot of potential, both from the point of view of agronomy and in the kitchen. To this end, they must be the object of research so as to rediscover their intangible value, which is part of popular knowledge. The original recipes, as well as the ingredients that are used, bear witness of the ability of a given population to interact with the territory and appreciate its resources. This is a very typical dish that is served all over Italy, but every single town prepares it according to its own recipe. This one is from Chieti, and we can only call it by its regional name, which is not possible to translate into Italian. It contains 9 kinds of seeds, mainly legumes, 9 vegetables, preferably from wild collection, and 9 spices. It's prepared and served only by women, and it's consumed as part of a feast that is held on the 1st of May according to a traditional ritual. It is dedicated to celebrating the rebirth of nature. This dish conveys numbers, symbolism, spirituality, beliefs, and rituality. In other words, popular knowledge. So we should not consider it only as food.